Hello and welcome. We are back for the first race, the opening round of Ultimate League Season 15. Here at the Hockenheim Ring, a track that has been used lots of times before in the league. It was used in Season 4, it was used in Season 6, it was used in Sunday League X as well, and it makes its return yet again a few seasons on. I am joined today by a man who, unfortunately, during pre-season, suffered a bad injury to his wrists, broke both of them, and isn't able to be in the car today. But we're honoured to have him in the commentary booth. Corvid, hello.
Hello.
It's tragic to hear about
What's
what happened to you in the off-season. I'm so sorry to hear about that.
yeah, I'm hoping a swift recovery, but it's looking grim for the time being.
Mm,
Speaking of not grim though, got a tie for pole at the time being.
we really
Oh,
do.
but
Which is
someone's
now usurped
not
massively
anymore.
by Nuno. Yes, great lap from him. Ewer, in his one and only appearance for FGR this season, came out of retirement just for the opening round at the Hockenheim Ring before, well, rumours say he'll be replaced by Rams from the second round onwards. But conveniently for Corvid, that means that Team Reserve and double world champion Nomskar steps in for FLF today. We'll see how he does and the rest of the grid does come the end of this qualifying session. It is Nuno who will take pole position. Sexy Digger will start on the front row for
That
Flow Force, which is a
got a
great.
three-way tie for third.
Yeah, incredible there. Ewer, in his only race for FGR this season, along with Charge JT and Nomskar, starting third, fourth, and fifth. We're not sure quite in what order. Hernandi will start sixth. Buda starts seventh, his first race for Rapid Motorsport Collective in 77 weeks. He ties with Figuera, starting eighth for Neon Sunset. Then it was Kraft, ninth for Scuderia Paracaro. Kubo starts in 10th, the reserve for Mayhem Racing. It's an all-Nordic Row 6 Grandi and Anti lock that out in their blue cars. Matima starts ahead of Minardi, 13th and 14th they are. Girouni will start ahead of Big Saucy Italian Woman, making their debut. Oh no, maybe. 16th place for them. Urist ahead of Bubbles. The field separated by 1.12 seconds. Is it a debut for Big Saucy?
I believe so. Bubbles did race, I believe, sometime last season.
I think that's right, yes. Nico
It is
Minardi.
Bubbles as well.
Hmm.
In for Kada as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Kada not able to make it to the race today for what would be his debut for FGR. He's obviously been with that team for quite a while through the junior programs and Vopeuka and whatnot. He's our now reigning Challenger League champion. Speaking of Challenger League champions, we do have a fair few on this grid. Girouni is now back in Challenger League, starting 15th on the grid. He's going to have to hope to make up some positions. Grandi as well, starting in 11th. Kubo starting in 10th. Kraft starting in 9th. And the man who won dominantly in a race that was cut short due to a late red flag in Challenger League earlier today, Sexy Digger starts on the front row. Great qualifying from him.
Don't forget
Going to
Nandy.
be
Oh yeah, and Andy as well. And Andy won our second season.
yeah, CL champion.
Got a fair few on the grid now, actually. It's good going there.
Yeah.
But nobody could knock Nuno off that perch. Nomskar, I believe, won every race at Hockenheim that he did up to, I think, Sunday League X, where he didn't. Am I right in saying that? It's been a long time, I don't quite remember. But he is definitely a king of the Hockenheim Ring. Let's see if he can deliver the goods today for his very own Flowforce team. Can he get past JT, starting up in 4th position? Man who is tempted as somewhat of a dark horse, potentially, for a title after his great winning ways at the end of last season. That'd be really interesting to see. Who else have we talked about? Figuera starting 8th. He's looking to get this season really going strongly for him and for Neon Sunset. His teammate Matimar starting 5 positions back, hoping similarly so. A top 10 finish for both of them would be a good day at the office. It's going to be a sunny start,
Ooh,
but with standing
sunny
water
start.
on the track. That should get us a bit of
Interesting.
strategic difference. We're underway for Season 15. Nuno on the intermediates. Sexy Digger starts on softs. Only him, Matty, and Saucy have started on that soft compound of tyre.
Oh no.
You were dropped back at the start a little bit. A big pack as we head down towards the hairpin now. We'll see who the winners and losers coming out of this corner are now. Already the soft runners.
So
Look at
going wide,
Anti
Nico
going
Minardi.
backwards as well as Nico Minardi going
Oh
off the
dear.
track. Saucy well down the order. Sexy Digger down to 9th place already. Is this gamble going to pay off with the soft at the start? It's being pushed so far back. As it is, Nuno kept pole. Hernandi is up
you
3
hits the pit wall
positions.
there.
Oh, dearie me. You are there. Jaruni, side by side with his teammate Bubbles. Urist, Anti-Amazing, dropped well down. He went backwards coming out of the hairpin section there. Really poor little collision. Minardi on the wet, and the 3 soft runners are our backpack at the moment. Up top,
Got
it's
clouds now.
LSA
That might
versus
be a real
SCP.
danger position. Oh no.
Where's that?
The clouds are just coming in. There's a big shove at the back of the field. Everyone's coming in for the dry tires now, but the clouds are rolling in. It might be interesting to see who might gamble on the inters, and Anti's going to stick around. So will the top 4 at the moment. Nuno, now in P5, will lead the dry runners through. It's JT right behind him.
And look at that!
Oh no, the rain's coming back!
What a gamble that is, and what a fantastic one it is for the likes of Hernandi, Ewa, Buddha, Jaruni, and the Anti-Amazing. They've all stayed out on that Inter. That is going to pay off. The rain will be back in a matter of seconds. Buddha battling Ewa for P2 and P3. These drivers, I think Buddha has 13 races in a row that he's finished on the podium, that he's competed in. Oh, incredible that. Jaruni right down the inside, goes for a dive bomb, and you can't really blame him in these conditions. He looks to have so much better grip. These are our two of our fastest drivers in Ultimate League at the moment, being torn to shreds by the Belarusian man on the intermediate tyre as he coasts his way through, and he retakes 4th position. Incredible stuff here. We have our front pack. Buddha is 2nd place. Hernandi leads the race for LSA. It's drying up again. So any drivers who have just come in for a 2nd stop onto the intermediates. I mean, I'd shudder to think anybody who's come in 3 times. We'll see. Sexy Digger has had a really interesting start to the race. He started on that soft, the track dried, and now he's had to come in for inters, so the gamble wasn't worth it. Luckily for him, it wasn't at the point where people hadn't switched off their original set of inters. At least most drivers had switched off their original set of intermediate tyres onto some slicks. Noms casually chilling a position higher on the wet weather tyre. Hernandi has a good cushion over Buddha, P1 and P2. Hernandi would absolutely love a strong finish here if he could really just get his season going from the get-go. He got a good few podiums last season, season 14, but I don't think that he managed too much success. Only 1 win right at the top of the order. Jaruni having to hold off Anti. Now, this is the highest Jaruni's ran in a fair few races as well, not since the days of maybe Mosport. Has he been up in the top 4 like that? Look, side by side, Sexy Digger forces Nomskar off the track. Heavy rain, and Noms will be licking his lips. And look at these drivers. This is Kubo on his protagonist arc, doing a completely different strategy to everyone else, as he absolutely loves to do. Not working out for him in particular.
The 2 Lynxes in particular are the hardest hit by this situation. They've gambled twice on and have been unlucky in both scenarios, and now they're going to fall even further behind. Hernandi holding on to the lead as we enter lap 9 here on those intermediate tyres. They are going to start aging up a bit more. Those inters can't last far too long.
Here are bottom 3 all coming in.
If the rain stops immediately, then he will really have to struggle to keep them in a good condition for when the rain does dry out. So maybe these inter-runners at the start will have to make a stop to wet tyres.
Yeah, that would be somewhat of a saving grace for those who did have to come in off their inters, back on and then back off again. The 2 stoppers will at least have that grace of a much fresher intermediate. You can see the condition of Nuno's versus the condition of Jeru. That gap closing just 3 seconds it is now. But incredible start here. Yeah, it's good to see that the Lynx cars do actually have wet weather tyres to use. They didn't seem to really want to put any of them on, but finding themselves running a reverse 1-2 at the moment, it's not great to see. The neon sunset cars.
Interesting as well is that the only driver outside of the bottom 3 who actually put on the wets earlier was Noms, who was sitting in P8 and leading off his teammate. Though the clouds are seeming to roll in again, so the rain will be slowing up and the track might be drying out in just a few laps' time as well. So Yeah, it's a real ebb and flow with the weather at the moment. There's nothing quite like a chaotic weather event at the Hockenheim ring. We remember that classic Formula One race nearing 5 years ago now.
I think it
Absolutely
was over
wild
5 years
scenes then.
ago. Oh no, yeah, you're right.
Oh, it was
2019 is an
2019.
interesting one.
Yeah.
2018 was funny, as we see. We'll go back to that detour in just a second, as we see Nuno and Kraft line up a move on Jeru, who quite passively moves out of the way for that. This isn't really his fight. He's looking at a top 10 today. Yeah, 2018 was a funny one as well. You had the Toro Rosso mechanics put the wet weather tyres onto Pierre Gasly's car on a bone dry track, which does somewhat emulate the strategy calls of some of the drivers out there today so far.
No, absolutely. Oh, dude. Big call for the drivers as well who haven't stopped yet is that the rain isn't going to be drying off in too quickly, which will really hamper them because the Inters aren't designed to go too much longer than like 15 laps.
Mm.
So they'll have to push it to maybe 16, even 17 if the weather starts to act up a bit more. So Jeru really finding the effects of that now. He's really falling down the order. And I'm expecting Anti and Ewa to follow suit just ahead.
If the light rain comes back now, are you putting on Inter as a driver? If you're one of those who stopped early on. Oh, sorry, it
Ooh,
hadn't stopped and ran this tyre from the start.
I think you do. Like, the loss case, especially if you're in an Andy or Buddha's position where you've got such a gap to the rest of the field already. The clouds are rolling in. They are getting darker now. So it might be.
Weather marker is moving.
Yeah,
Look at it,
scary.
sitting on the teetering edge of raining there. The clouds are very ominous here at the Hockenheim ring. You can see the track get visibly darker as well, which is a very cool effect. We'll do a little status, a rain check, if you will.
Oh, Buddha is in.
Yeah, look at him.
Buddha's in. The first one to react. He's going in for soft tyres now.
That is
and Ewa and
ballsy.
Nuno join him on. There's a bunch of drivers coming in, and it's a lot of the drivers who didn't stop the first time around. The sun is out. And Andy and Kraft have stayed out for an extra lap on the Inters. They won't be too affected. I'd say Andy might lose a lot of time on those very worn Inters. 16 laps on those tyres. He's finally in to the pit lane for the very first time, and he's on for a set of soft tyres. We'll have to see where Buddha comes out. It should be much... he should still be well behind the LSA driver. It is Hernandi leading us away. 17 laps into the German Grand Prix. Nuno and Ewa are third and fourth, and Ewa is going to be trying to benefit from the slipstream on those hard tyres. The clouds begin to roll in once again.
So unpredictable here. You've got great storylines up and down the grid. Hernandi leading this race. He wants this win. He needs to prove in what is now his... it's difficult to believe, but must be his 6th or 7th season with... 8th season, I believe, with LSA.
8th season.
Incredible.
With LSA.
Oh, look!
Oh, there it is! The rain is coming right back!
Brilliant.
And as soon as drivers thought there was an inch of a dry track to race on, everyone's coming back straight into the pits.
Buddha's not.
To put on the Inters. Buddha, though, is staying out on the soft tyres.
And
He's
Nuno.
going to risk it all. Nuno staying out as well.
Nuno 400.
Is going to risk it.
400.
Out on the softs as well.
Huge moment there for Nuno. He goes well off the track at turn 2, comes back on, blocks his teammate Hernandi. It's double calamity for the LSA drivers as well, because you've got the clouds coming in. You're going to get rain going off the circuit very quickly indeed. It won't have been worth it coming in. That is handed on a silver platter. The race lead to Buddha in the RMC for its first full-time drive with the team. What an opportunity to win on debut in orange. Incredible. Look at that. Hernandi catches him. He re-overtakes him for the lead. We're going to have crazy overtaking statistics for this race.
Noms and Jeru also pitted off the softs straight back onto another set of softs, so they're trying to benefit off that undercut on a fresh set of soft tyres just to try and offset the Inters. No, I was referring to Noms and JT, sorry. Jeru has been on the Inters. But,
heavy rain!
Dear God, the rain's coming back again! What is this? Lord.
Buddha's just put on a fresh soft. Matty's out. He's had enough.
Matty's had enough of
Buddha's
this.
put on a fresh soft and he's fallen behind Nuno. This is Alonso in Monaco-esque. He's put on the slick right before the rain. I think knowing Buddha...
after all of that, Ewer is now in P2 with a look at the lead.
Would this be his first
He's
ever
still
podium?
5 seconds down the road from Hernandi, but Ewer now in the FGR in P2 and is a mile away from the next driver.
Jaruni in
Almost
P3!
8 seconds up the road. So it's
Uh,
Jaruni and Kraft now fighting for P3. Then
guys,
behind them is a massive pack of cars. 6Y, Anti, Nuno, and Buddha all fighting for P5, all on the full wets now. As Ewer actually makes a stop now. He's going in for the full wets. He's hoping that he can get out in front of
He might
Jarrett
get
and
the
Kraft,
lead
and
with
he
this.
does. It looks like a almost certain podium for the FGR.
It's
in
a
his
great
only
strategic
race as
call.
a-
It's
from
fantastic
a
because if he
full
goes in for the wet now and the
Yeah.
rain continues, he's got that gap behind that he was able to pit into. Hernandi will either have to face the reality of just losing time on an Inter that's not even that old, but he will be shedding time on a full wet surface, praying it'll dry up. If it doesn't, he'll have to face coming in or firming out an entire stint on the Inter. And you can see sometimes drivers with the stubbornness, you can see the clouds coming back. That will help him out, definitely. And look at that, 10 plus second lead as well. Kraft
Oh,
past
6Y with
Girini.
the overspeed on Jaruni.
Can we
Into
check?
P4.
Would this be Ewer's first ever podium in the league?
well, Ewer only
Oh,
has
I
a
believe it would be,
P8
yes.
and a P9 in his career as far as top 10s go, so this would
This
definitely
is
be his
definitely
first
looking
podium.
like his best result ever, for sure. And
Wow.
6Y is actually charging in on those wet tires as well. He's catching up to Kraft, and he's looking at that podium, and he's through turn 1, 6Y, into the podium placings now. And Kraft will be holding onto that slipstream as much as he can, but Buddha is also chasing him down. The wet tire runners are really putting in a charge as much as they can before the clouds change the conditions of the track even more. But Hernandi, 13-second gap on second place. There is something to behold now. He's well and truly away. He'll have to take a mammoth fumble to
Well,
avoid getting that P1 from
let's
here.
not
But weirder things have happened.
let's not
Stranger
speak too
things have happened,
soon.
and this is
Exactly.
a very strange German Grand Prix today.
The complexion
6Y
of
in
this
P3,
race is
Buddha,
changing.
Nuno, Jaruni finding some trouble, Kraft through into P6 behind them. We've got Anti-Amazing in 8th, and then Noms, Charge JT in P10, then Figueroa and Grandi just getting through together. Saucy in P13 behind them, Bubbles, Minardi, Kubo, Urist, and the 1DNF in Matimar.
I think
And the clouds are
It's-
coming in again.
it's an
You
ever-changing
just never
complexion,
know.
this race, and it's really, really difficult to at any given time say this is the right strategy, this is the wrong strategy, this is a blunder, this is a fumble, because what looks to be an inspired call at some point. I mean, forget the drivers starting on soft versus Inter, let alone, the first stop, choosing to go out, choosing to stay out. So many of these drivers have at various points made the right and wrong call. Buddha staying out on the slick, an amazing choice. The rain then went away, then it came back, and I can't even keep track of it, but now he's had to make a stop onto a slick, then a stop onto
Oh,
the
there we
wet the
go.
next lap, and he's now back in this pack, so all equalizes out in the end. The man really benefiting is Hernandi. He's decided with that gap, he stays out in the race lead. He might do another lap here. No, he will come in and
He might do. He will come in at
save
last.
face. I
And
know.
think, just for the time moment, we might have a few more laps of dry running. We've had we're entering lap 30 of 54 here, and I believe we've had about maybe 4 dry laps total across the entire running of the race so far.
I feel very sorry for whoever has to do the strategies graph after this race. That seems like a very difficult job indeed.
Oh, dude. Let's not think about that. Last few drivers heading into the pit lane. Last one is Kubo onto the hard tires.
And look at this
He's
battle
almost
here.
2
P5 down to
laps
P9.
back.
Both RMCs in it. Jaruni sticking close to his superstar teammate Buddha. Actually having a look up the inside. Let's hope they don't get too tangled up with
the
each other.
inside as well. They're into turn 1. It's 6Y past Ewer now and into P2. He's got a long way to go if he wants to catch an Andy, but getting into that second spot is going to be very helpful for him. Nuno away about a second back from Ewer in P3. Then further back is this pack for P5. Kraft, Buddha, Jaruni, Noms, and Anti. They've been in the top 10 for the most part of this race so far. They haven't They haven't made too many massive errors as of late, but there have been ebbs and flows across this race so far. Buddha and no, it's just Buddha and Anti in this pack. But Anti is falling away though. They are on the hard tires. Everyone else on the softs. Yua is also hoping to use U6Y as a slingshot with that slipstream on those hard tires, really trying to make this work. You could think Yua potentially could try only a one-stop strategy from this point. He could go hard to hard and make the end here.
Yes.
So any extra lap he gets on those on that slipstream will really benefit his chances of holding onto that podium position. Nuno still trying to get past the FGR driver. The South African isn't budging at all with that slipstream. He's taking from the Latvian. Nuno gets on the inside into turn 1. He backs out. Smart move there, trying to make sure he doesn't make any
You got to look
opportunistic lunges
at the likeliness as well of is he going to make it to the end of the race with a double hard stint? Mathematically, yes. What's the probability of rain potentially coming back? Quite high. Something else to say about Nuno is that the sort of semantics among us might quite like the idea of Ewer in what looks to be his sort of final send-off before retirement from full-time racing. You know, give him that podium, let him take it in FGR stripes, the team that he came out of retirement as a one-race wonder. Can he pull off the impossible? Sexy Digger, can he take his first ever podium in this Flow Force car? Can he do it for them? Quite frankly, Nuno absolutely doesn't care, and he is more than motivated to take any positions that he possibly can. Looking all the way back to season 7 with Opel on and a wonder race there for him in Valencia. Nuno in the final laps cruelly snatching a podium away from the German driver who never did manage to get one in the end.
You have to also consider as well that Nuno is fighting for a potential LSA 1-2 as well, so that could be the absolute perfect start to the season for the defending champion. 6Y into the pits though, and he's got
soft again.
Yeah, he's got quite a long way to go. Softs. He can go soft into one more set of softs to the end of the race. So we'll have to see how his pace holds on those tires. He ends up right in front of Andy, who will gladly take that slipstream on those hards.
Let's have a look further down the order for the time being. Yes, sun coming back.
Clouds are finally cleared. Sun coming back, and it's looking like we might have a bit more consistent dry running. We've got a few more drivers coming in for the pits. Nuno, with that, will end up behind 6Y after that undercut.
Nuno and Nomskar in, yeah.
Kraft, Jaruni, and Charge JT also making the stop. They made a stop a lap earlier.
Yes.
That's P9 and P10.
It was a good battle. Well, back in Season 6, it seemed to be quite one-sided in the end, particularly in the second half of the season. A lot of races went very much in Nomskar's favour, but this was a good fight in this sort of half-sprint race between Nomskar and Nuno. Nomskar emerged victorious, and they've come in on that same lap back there, looking to really pound around the circuit. Like you said, for Nuno, taking the LSA 1-2 would be incredible. Buda now past 6Y. Hard tyres for the Estonian driver. He will have to be in soon. Maybe one final hard stint.
There he goes. The two Baltic drivers just swapping positions there. Buda taking advantage of that slipstream for now. 6Y through back onto the podium positions.
A last hard stint for Buda, you think?
Or maybe one more lap if he can really squeeze out just a touch bit more from that slipstream, but he seems to have lost it. He will stay out, so I believe he is going for one more stop onto the hards for the race, and so will Ewer, who hasn't stopped yet. 6Y is just catching up towards, so 6Y, with that massive undercut, is really paying off dividends for him. He's looking in the box seat to claim that P2 as of right now, but we'll have to see how Ewer goes on his final stop, of course.
Absolutely.
But let's not forget the man leading the race, of course, and Andy. The gap's slightly reduced to now just over 11 seconds, but he's very much comfortable out in front, and it's looking like a bit of a cruise to take home his first win of the season. And LSA's return to form after a few races where they didn't get the race win. It will be back in their hands here in Germany.
You are into the pit lane now. One final stop, potentially final stop in Ultimate League for him, at least for the time being. Hard compound tyre all the way to the checkered flag for the South African driver. He's got Buddha right on his tail. He just came in. Jaruni, his teammate, a little bit behind him, but on semi-worn soft, so he'll be in a couple laps' time. JT ahead, similar condition tyres. He's not really been in
Oh, wow.
contention here, Joe, has he?
No, he's been sort of missing in the middle after that decent. He had a good quality, but he just got lost in the mid pack as soon as the big early scuffles of the race came in, and along with the mix-ups of the tires and the strategy at the moment, he hasn't really had a chance to expose his pace very well. And he's been battling with Jaruni the whole race, which anything speaks to how Jaruni has performed this race admirably.
Very well.
All things considered.
Also getting this, well, I mean, sort of difficult because one strategic blunder leads into another strategic masterclass in this race. But interesting to see that a driver who's really struggled with strategy when it comes to the wet conditions has performed quite admirably through it so far this race. Really good scrap between Buddha and Ewa. This was the podium fight, but of course these drivers have come in for one final hard tyre stint. The drivers ahead running their softs in for a final soft stint that they'll go for in just a couple laps time. Hernandi leads, Nuno in.
Nuno in.
Interesting.
And how will the softs do? It looks like he might come out just ahead of Kraft and Buddha. That's massive. Ewa's actually lost a lot of time, and Nuno's going to run away. Buddha will try and hold on. We'll have to see at the very end of this stint, because Nuno is going to have to run those softs quite a ways. It is 8 laps for him. Buddha, I believe, is going 13 on the hard, so it'll be interesting to see if Buddha can hold on for us to potentially make a move at the very tail end of this race. 6Y is also out of the pits now, responding to that undercut from Nuno, still holds on to P2, so it's going to be a last mad dash between 4 drivers for the final 2 spots on the podium. And Andy, though, is well on his way to the race win.
It'll
7 laps to go for him, starting lap 48.
Without some sort of crazy... I mean, even now, as we're approaching the end of the race, you can play quite defensive strategies in the rain using what is nearly a 2 pit stop gap in his favour to sort of play a little bit defensively. It would be difficult seeing a driver of his caliber throwing the race win from here. Nuno, his teammate, now in 3rd position. Siga really hanging on, doing really well to just clutch onto that podium. I mean, coming out of the pit lane, still in 2nd place. Tests of the tribute, is a tribute to his pace that he exhibited both earlier in Challenger League, winning by 17 seconds in a race cut short, but also out on the track here today looking at his first ever podium.
Well, yeah, Nuno will be fighting him hard, but Nuno does have the tyre disadvantage here. 6Y did pit a lap later, and the position will really be benefiting the Latvian at the moment. Nuno will have to make something happen in these last 5 laps. Buddha is falling away from those 2 on those hard tyres. He'll be, I'd say, relatively pleased with the 4th place. He didn't start particularly well, but he did make a great strategy choice, and then everything's been happening, everything up and down the field, and Buddha's been able to hold on to a high position regardless of that. Ewa in P5 at the moment has been quite the grand race for him. Be trying to hold on to that position though. Nomskar is chasing down on those soft tyres though. Kraft now in P7, getting chased by Anti and his teammate in JT. JT also has the fast lap of the race now. 26:20.
Pretty impressive that. Jaruni holding down 10th place at the moment. He's had a sort of managed decline down the order, but this is still a very good position for him to be in. His teammate Buddha said earlier that after so many races on the podium, it looks like this might be the one where that will finally elude him. But still, incredible to see 60 to get up there really fighting for it in a sort of...
Oh, dude, I think 6Y's made a mistake there. Nuno tries to get him the inside as they enter the stadium.
It's right
6Y
on him.
still on. Oh, it's a big shove there. I'm not sure if both drivers were a little compromised there, but now it's Nuno in the lead, in P2.
It looked like
Definitely not in
six
the
wide
lead.
definitely really deep into the gravel there, but looking at them relative to Buda, I think Nuno was also hurt by that as well. The coming together
Oh,
out of
speaking of
very
Nuno hurt, he
dangerous.
made a bad exit out of the hairpin, and 6Y's back in the P2.
He is. Buda really looking. He's got the scent of his prey at the moment. Hernandi, all the while, very much enjoying what will be a fantastically dominant win. We'll return to the fight for the remaining podium positions. But after appreciating what has been a fantastic drive by the Hungarian, he wins the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim circuit. Fantastic racecraft from him. The positions behind, very much to be
Oh,
decided. Can
6Y
6i
looks
hold
in. Nuno's
on?
got a good exit speed, though.
It
But it
won't
looks
be
like
enough,
6Y's
will
going to
it?
hold on for the very end. It's a podium. It's second place for 6Y. Nuno will have to finish third. It's Buda fourth. Noms in P5. And Ewer, in his final race, will finish in P6 today.
Kraft,
The Kraft,
Anti, JT, Jeru.
and Jeru for the top 10.
Wow.
Figo just coming across the line in 11th.
And then a big gap back
A
behind
long gap
Grandi.
between 12th and 13th, yeah.
What a race. I mean, Corvid, while we're sort of waiting for the results screen, give us a bit of your thoughts on that.
Oh, it was an absolute mess. There was no clear strategy decision. Everything was jumbled up, and the drivers really had to go towards their intuition and faith in the weather radar and just what they had in mind to go with. And it really showed. Some of the drivers who were able to get into the front were the ones who were able to handle the mixed conditions the best in terms of not only picking the right tire, but also dealing with being on the wrong tire as best possible. But yeah, what a race we had today. What an absolute cracker of a start for the season. And let's hope that we see many more races as entertaining as this one.
Absolutely. There's your full results screen. The rundown after 25 minutes, 17 seconds and 44 hundredths of racing. Hernandi is your race winner here in Hockenheim. Sexy Digger takes second place for Flow Force ahead of Nuno, taking third. Buda just off the podium, first time he's been off it in multiple seasons. Fourth place for him, fifth place for Nomskar, stepping in last minute for Flow Force with a very solid result. They'll be happy with the points they take from that. Ewer looked so good for a podium, but will take home still a very admirable sixth place career best finish for him for the FGR team too. Kraft finishes 7th, JT is teammate, 9th place and with the fastest lap. Anti between them, Jeru back in the top 10 after a couple seasons out of it. Figuera finishes 11th for Neon Sunset, he'll be ahead of Grandi, and Big Saucy Italian Woman on the debut, 13th place for Mayhem. The other Mayhem driver, another reserve driver, Kubo finishing 15th, not the last place he might have predicted for himself coming in on little practice. He's done well, was behind Bubbles, who finished 14th for FGR. Nico Minardi 16th ahead of Urist in 17th. Lynxes, the last two of the finishers. Matimar, throughout all of the confusion, all of the chaos that reigned and very much reigned in that race, 18th DNF for him. We'll get to some interviews. If we can start with, if he is available, Hernandi, our race winner today, by quite a long way. Give us your take on that. Well done.
Well, this is to anybody who thinks that the rain in this game is fair, because I was like 6th fastest based on the practice races. I really shouldn't have won, not by such a big margin, but after I got away I drove really well actually, so yeah, not a lot of action obviously, so I can't really tell you about that. It's just crazy.
I mean, definitely seemed like a boring race from your perspective. I think you do yourself down a bit because against a lot of very experienced drivers, you called the strategy right. And
it was like,
go on.
Sorry, 2 50-50 calls, so yeah.
Nuno and Nom's not able to do that, 15 seconds and 16 seconds behind you. But that's looking a very good omen for LSA in the championship.
Yep.
Great result for the team.
Thank you.
We will go next to Nuno. Third place in the end. He clutched it by just a little margin over Buda, and a big fight at the end with 6Y, but not able quite to catch him on the line. Chaotic race. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it was a very nuts race. Seems, at least lately, every time I take pole, it kind of ends up being useless because the rain just hiccups everything. But yeah, I managed to always pull a good recovery and be always up there in the first two positions. I was quite surprised on the final shake-up thing. I thought it would be like up to third and just be behind like Yoha and Hinandi, but then I saw it was like down to 7 and I was like, what the hell? But then I don't know how I got my. I don't even know how the hell I got myself into third. But yeah, then in the end I have that pass with Sexy Digger. I pushed him off on the final turn. Like it was kind of weird the hell how that happened. I think he made a mistake in one of the places, and we were kind of like side by side for a few corners. And then on the final one, kind of messed up, pushed him off there. So on the next lap, I tried to give him back the position later on, which I then did after the hairpin, and then I kind of just stood behind. I tried to make a move at the end, but it wasn't just possible. So yeah, that's it. It's a good result still. At least it was Nani winning, and we got a good WCC from now. So yeah, quite different start from the last season. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, good points for the team. Good race from the both of you. Corvid, if you want to do a couple of the interviews.
Sure.
Go for it.
You know what? I think we should go to Yua if we can have him. Love to see his results to that. Oh well. How do you feel? P6, your first and so far only race as a main driver. How are you feeling after that?
I'll be honest with you, right? It's bittersweet because it was just there, you know, the podium was just there, but once I put on the wets, I kicked myself because I didn't close down the gap to Hunandi in front, but you know what? I'll take it. Oh, the pace was there for once. But now, you know what? I'm happy. I'm very happy with that. And hey, what a send-off, eh? What a damn send-off. I'm pleased.
That's good to hear. Definitely showed off like the inherent speed you always had in that race. It's great to see that. Maybe we'll see it at some point in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Who else can we get to? Ooh, let's get to Kubo, who had a bit of a struggle in that Mayhem racing car today.
What can I
If he is
say?
here.
Only 4 letters describe my situation.
YOWN.
RAIN, man. I'm surprised I got up to P5 at the start. It could have been a great race, but I'm not that disappointed either. Just didn't go. It just didn't go the way I wanted it to go. Hopefully I'll get to race again. That's about it.
Yeah, the grid's always better with you on it, I think, so it'd be lovely to see you maybe fill in for another race later, but yeah. It's a big part of this race, I feel, is that a lot of the drivers further back down the grid, or maybe drivers who didn't get the result they exactly wanted, could really just rue the what ifs and the rain scenarios today. That just comes with such a chaotic weather event such as today. Nothing quite like crazy rain in this race, especially at a track which is notorious for extreme weather conditions at times, with drivers just unknown as to what the proper next step of the race to go on the wets or the inters or the dries. But yeah, that leaves us with everything done for today.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for watching, those who did watch all the way along to the end. Absolute spectacle of a race. We'll be back right at it again at the Kimi Ring next week, an equally chaotic track in many, many ways. And it should be amazing racing, another track that we're returning to. But that was the first race of the season, and until next week, bye-bye.